Today's topic is circumference and area of circles. To begin with, circumference is the distance around a circle. Or the perimeter. So there are two formulas that we remember, and they're actually really close to each other. So circumference is either 2 pi r or pi d. Now r is radius and d is diameter, and one thing we do have to remember is what pi is. Now, quite often we round pi to be approximately 3.14. Let's use this to examples. The first example, find the circumference if the diameter is 37 inches. Now circumference we said is c equals pi d, and pi is equal to 3.14, and d is 37. Now there's two ways to leave this. We can either leave this as 37 pi inches, or we can multiply out the pi to see what we get. Now when we multiply it out, it will be an approximate answer. So the circumference is approximately 116.18 inches. Let's do another. Find the circumference. Find the circumference if the radius is 12 centimeters. So now c equals 2 pi r. R is 12 and pi is 3.14. Now we're going to begin by simplifying as much as we can. So that would be 2 times 12. The product of 2 and 12 is 24, so we can leave this as 24 pi centimeters. But if we want to know an approximate, like we're measuring it, we're going to multiply 24 by 3.14. So the product of 24 and 3.14 is 75.36 centimeters. Now, to go along, circumference is area. And area is the number of square units inside of a circle. Now to find the area, you're going to do pi r squared. Now, if you're given the diameter, what you have to remember, so I'm going to write this down here and I'm going to put a star with it. If given diameter, so radius is, you would divide by 2. So radius equals d over 2. Let's do a few examples. So find the radius if the area is 25 pi meters squared. So 25 pi is equal to pi r squared. Now the first thing I'm going to do is divide both sides by pi, and that actually will cancel it out from the left side and the right side. So I'm left with 25 equals r squared. Now the next step, you have to remember the opposite of a square is a square root, so I have to take the square root of 25. The number that multiplies by itself to be 25 is 5, so 5 equals r. Another example, we have to find the area if all the way across the bottom of the box is 14. That means that inside my diameter is also 14 inches. So d equals 14 inches. I don't need the diameter though, I need the radius. So radius is equal to 14 divided by 2 or 7. Now I can find my area. So area equals pi 7 squared. 7 squared is 49 pi inches squared. Now it's important to have the inches squared because when we're talking about area, it's in square inches. So I'll make a note up here. So with area, the unit is always squared. Like inches squared or feet squared. Okay, let's find the approximate. So we're going to do 49 times 3.14. So the product of 49 and 3.14 is 153.86 inches squared. So I'm going to put that answer right up on the line where it says A equals 153.8 inches squared. Let's do some more examples. So the next example, I'm looking for the circumference. So when I look at this, I see I have a right triangle. So this is a multi-step problem. And I have my A side, and I have my B side, and my entire diameter is C. So I need the Pythagorean theorem to find my hypotenuse. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So 16 squared plus 30 squared equals C squared. 16 squared is 256, plus 30 squared is 900, equals C squared. So the sum of 256 and 900 is 1,156, and that's equal to C squared. I have to undo my square by taking the square root, and when I take the square root of 1,156, I get 34. Now, that means that whole part, so I'm going to erase my C. I'm going to erase my C. There we go. And I'm going to put in that it is 34. Okay, so that's the diameter. I'm looking for circumference. The formula for circumference is C equals pi d, and d is 34. So 34 pi is my approximate, but 34 pi is my actual answer, but I want the approximate, so I'm going to multiply and use 3.14 for pi. So when I do 34 times 3.14, my product is 106.76. So 106.76. And because I don't know the units, I'm going to use U, and that stands for units. Let's do an example. So here I have to find the circumference again. So if one side is 8, and this is an inscribed square, that means that both sides are 8. Now, because this is a square, that means it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So I can use either the Pythagorean theorem or my rules for 45, 45, 90 triangles. So I'm going to use my rules for 45, 45, 90s. And it's x, x, x radical 2. Which means it's 8, 8, 8 radical 2. And if you remember, instead of radical 2, we're using 1.4. So I'm going to do 8 times 1.4. And I have a product of 11.2. So my diameter is 11.2. So now I find my circumference. So C equals pi d. So two ways to do it. I can either do 11.2 pi, or I could find my approximate and do 11.2 times 3.14. And there I get 35.168.